Welcome to the Book Nook podcast.
Great to be here.
If you're curious to read along with us today, you'll find a link to purchase Jane Fallon's Oversharing right below in the description below.
Good idea.
Today on the deep dive, we are really plunging into this novel. We're looking at how it explores revenge and those masks we all wear online sometimes.
Yeah, the personas.
Exactly. And just the tangled messiness of modern relationships, all through Fallon's really sharp and witty style.
She definitely has a way with words.
She does. So we've looked at quite a few reviews, different summaries, trying to really get under the skin of this story. So what's the initial setup? What kind of grabs you right at the start?
Okay, so at the heart of Oversharing, you've got Iris.
Yeah.
She basically picking up the pieces after her marriage just completely implodes.
Right.
Her ex-husband, Tom, he's left her for Maddie, who happens to be a life coach.
Oh, the irony.
Yeah. And we meet Iris. She's sort of navigating this fairly ordinary job and the not-so-glamorous reality of renting a room. It paints this picture of post-divorce life that feels, well, pretty grounded. Relatable for a lot of people, I imagine.
Absolutely. It sets a very clear stage for what's coming. And the catalyst, the thing that really kicks the main action off, seems to be Maddie's very, very visible online life. How does that spark Iris's journey?
Right. So the spark really ignites when Iris stumbles across Maddie's incredibly carefully constructed social media presence. It's all about happy family values, these idyllic snapshots with her husband, Lee, and their twin daughters.
Okay, her husband, Lee, not Tom.
Exactly. That's the key thing. What immediately jumps out is Tom's complete absence from this whole online story Maddie's telling. And this stark contrast between Iris's reality, which is still pretty raw, and Maddie's seemingly perfect online world, well, that just fuels Iris's desire to, dig deeper, uncover the truth she suspects is hiding behind that flawless facade.
It really makes you wonder about the stories we all tell online, doesn't it? The curated versions.
Totally. And it brings up some interesting points about how readers initially react to Iris herself. What did you find there?
Well, it's fascinating, actually. Some reviews mention that Iris wasn't, let's say, universally liked right at the beginning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some readers found her initial reactions maybe a little unsympathetic. A bit much, perhaps.
Okay.
But interestingly, that didn't seem to turn people off the book. In fact, it sounds like many got really invested precisely because they wanted to see how her plans, her schemes, would play out.
Ah, so the plot pulls you in.
Exactly. There's that definite pull, wanting to know what happens next, even if you're not entirely sure you're rooting for the main character from page one.
Right. It speaks to that compelling nature of just wanting the truth to come out, whatever it is.
It does. Fallon clearly knows how to keep us hooked. And a huge part of Maddie's life, like we said, is this social media presence. What does the book really say about influencer culture and our online personas?
Oversharing gives a really sharp look at these curated realities we see online constantly. It really underscores the idea that social media often just presents this highly selective view, a polished part of a bigger picture.
Right, the highlight reel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the book subtly warns against falling into that trap of comparing our own messy, complicated lives to these often idealized and potentially quite misleading online portrayals.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
What's particularly insightful, I think, is the suggestion that crafting and maintaining that flawless online persona might actually be easier than we think. It's easily faked.
That's a sobering thought. And it's such a timely reminder in our, hyper-connected world. This whole setup naturally leads to that central theme of revenge. What kind of perspective does the book offer on seeking revenge?
Well, the novel definitely portrays revenge as this really powerful motivator, often born from feeling deeply hurt, deeply wronged, that sense of injustice.
Yeah.
Like one source we looked at cleverly put it, seeing someone else basking in the sunlight when we are stuck in the shade that can really push people towards extreme actions.
Yeah, I can see that.
However, the narrative also, quite subtly, dissects the complexities and the potential downsides of going down that path.
Okay.
It raises that crucial question. Does actually getting that revenge, does it truly deliver the satisfaction you thought it would?
Right. Or does it just create more problems?
Exactly. And what are the unseen consequences that might just ripple outwards? The book seems to suggest the fantasy of revenge can be much more potent, much more appealing than the reality of it.
That's a really interesting point, the fantasy versus the reality. Now, something else that seems significant is how the story is told. the narrative structure itself. How does that contribute to our understanding?
Yeah, the book uses this really effective narrative shift.
Yeah.
While lots of novels use alternating perspectives right from the start,
Mm.
oversharing holds back and introduces alternative viewpoints,
Mhm.
mainly in the second half of the story.
Oh, interesting. Why do you think that is?
Well, it feels like a really clever technique because it broadens your understanding, the reader's understanding, of why different characters are doing what they're doing. You see their motivations.
Right. You get inside their heads later on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the complexities of the whole situation become clearer. It stops us from just staying solely aligned with Iris, seeing everything through her eyes.
Yeah.
And it allows for a more nuanced, maybe even surprising appreciation of what's really going on. It kind of encourages you to question your initial assumptions about everyone.
That sounds like it adds a real layer of richness, stops it from being too one-sided.
Definitely.
So beyond the plot and the social media commentary, what are some of the broader themes you think oversharing gets into?
Well, underneath the revenge plot in the online drama, the book really delves into that journey of healing, moving forward after major heartbreak.
Okay.
And we also see these compelling elements of female resilience, female empowerment maybe, and the strength that can be found in, well, sometimes unexpected places like friendships.
Friendship plays a role too.
A significant one, yeah. And importantly, the novel keeps reinforcing that crucial idea that appearances, especially online, can be so profoundly misleading.
Absolutely.
Like one review aptly put it, you can never be too sure who someone is.
So true.
So ultimately, the book seems to champion the value of genuine connections, real relationships, and the vital role that true friendship plays in just navigating life's challenges.
Those are definitely resonant themes. So, okay, if someone's thinking about picking this book up, what's the overall vibe? What can they expect?
The general feeling, the consensus from what we've seen, is that oversharing is sharp, it's witty, it's thoroughly entertaining, and often just plain addictive.
Sounds good.
It's frequently described as a revenge comedy, so there's definitely humor woven through all the drama.
Right. It's not all doom and gloom.
Not at all. And its exploration of these very contemporary issues, social media, modern relationships, makes it feel particularly relevant right now.
Yeah.
Many readers found it to be a really enjoyable, satisfying read. Several recommended it specifically as, like, a perfect summer escape read.
Okay, a beach read, perhaps?
Potentially. It manages to be both thought-provoking, making you think about these issues, but also genuinely fun to read.
It sounds like a really compelling combination. And hey, if you're finding this deep dive into oversharing intriguing, we'd absolutely love it if you'd subscribe to the deep dive right here on the Book Nook podcast.
Yeah, and maybe leave us a review.
Please do. Your feedback really helps us bring you more explorations just like this one.
What's fascinating when you look at all those reactions is how Fallon manages to tackle these potentially quite heavy themes: revenge, deception, heartbreak, but with such a light and engaging touch.
Yeah, that's a real skill.
It really speaks to her talent as a storyteller, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Keeping it sharp and funny, even while dealing with serious stuff.
Absolutely. Well, we really hope this deep dive into Jane Fallon's oversharing has given you some valuable insights into the story and its key themes. It certainly sounds like a book that encourages us all to think a bit more critically about the world we present online and maybe the world we perceive online too.
Definitely. If we connect this back to you, the listener, it really makes you consider your own relationship with social media. The kinds of narratives you encounter every day, and perhaps even the ones you create yourself.
That's a great point. Little food for thought there. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into oversharing. Remember, you can find that link to purchase the book in the description.
Like it out.
And please don't forget to subscribe to the deep dive and leave that review so you don't miss our next exploration.
And who knows? Perhaps after reading, you might find yourself looking at those picture-perfect online lives with a slightly more skeptical eye.
Very possibly. Thanks again for listening to the Book Nook podcast.
Thanks, everyone.
And be sure to check the link in the description to get your copy of Oversharing by Jane Fallon.